Welcome along to episode 829 of the Built by Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show this week, Suzi Quatro joins us as we find out about her latest literature work. And we'll have a bit of a better music too. It's compulsory pretty much, isn't it? We'll also be hearing about music from Benham and McNerney about their latest release and Malissa Whitehouse on her musical output too. The Blue Orange Theatre have a thriller double bill coming up in August. We'll be finding out about that. And we'll be talking to the director of Rumpelstiltskin, Andy Edwards, as we hear about the latest incarnation and a bit of a horror flick that is out there now. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Now, Suzi Quatro is a name that means an awful lot to me in the world of music, but I hadn't ever, until I set this interview up, realised that she was working in the world of literature too. Okay, there's the expected autobiography. That's pretty much a given, particularly with some of the stories this young lady has to tell. However, Grave Undertakings is a novel which she is bringing to the world, and it even started out as a rather unusual project some 40 years ago. She's on the line now to tell me all about it. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, I started, about that many years ago. I had this idea. I had the title for that long, Grave Undertakings. It's a great title. And I wanted to collect tombstone inscriptions from people I knew. So everybody I knew, everybody from actors, singers, what I asked everybody. And over the years, I collected a lot. A lot of them aren't with us anymore. And as I started to assemble, this is my seventh book I published. I was starting to assemble them, and then I realized, I thought it was just going to be a book of tombstone quotes. Then I realized it's a story, and it's got to be a story, and it's got to be a psychological story, because tombstones are all about your life. What led you to there, when you're finally in your resting place, your whole life is there. There's where you are. So not only how you want to be remembered, but also the life that you've lived. So I created 6 students meeting at a psychology course in college and thought about the characters. I had to do research, obviously. Things I wanted to talk about, I would look up and research different elements. But I'm very psychologically minded anyway. I'm the kind of person that likes to go the distance in a conversation and find out how you tick. I do. And I like to examine motives and dig back on the life and see where your triggers were and what kind of person you were. And that's me. So probably if I hadn't gone into music like I've done, I might have considered that as a occupation, because I'm pretty good at reading people. You saw how I've written the characters. That's all from my mind. So I'm pretty good at that subject,
Yeah. But I mean, the epitaphs themselves, though, you say you've collected them. So you've spoken to friends and gone, what would you like your epitaph to be?
Mine is one of those my favorite ones. It just made me laugh when I thought of it. I'm Gemini, so that means I'm the twins. So I get 2. I get one on each side. One side says, "Now I get it." What's the point of you getting it now? The other side says, "Too many dreams, too little time."
I think treating yourself to 2 is allowed. But I mean, quotes from the likes of Rula Lenska. I mean, I loved, I laughed, I dreamed, I cried, I've lived my life, but now I've died. They're almost poetry in themselves, aren't they?
Yes. So that some of them really made me stop and think. Cliff Richard gave a good one. Bruce Welch, who I know very well. I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. To live in the hearts of people after you've to have love. I can't remember what he said. To live in the hearts of the people after you've gone. That's leaving love behind. So his was serious, and he's one of these jokey kind of guys, And that reminded me of the drummer, Brian Bennett. He said if you I would have expected his quote from Bruce and Bruce's quote from him, but he said, if you really want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. It's actually quite good. So there's some real good ones in there. And when you actually read the story and you get involved in all the characters, and it takes you through their lives and their entanglements and their good parts and bad parts, and the poor Austrian professor, I felt sorry for him. Then when you finally get to the tombstones, It's all that more poignant reading them.
You
Go
use
ahead.
them as a almost a chapter in the book. They're not headings to chapters. They're actually one section on tombstones.
Yes, it like I said, it was going to be that, but then I created the story, and the story ends, and then you get your quotes after that.
So, yeah, I love the way it builds. And is it allowed to sneak ahead and read some of the tombstones before you read the story, or as you go along?
Sure. Sure, because the tombstones were had a life of their own before I wrote the fiction around it, and then Grave Undertakings took on a whole different meaning. But the all the quotes at the back end, like when you look at the pictures first, sure, read the quotes, but then read the story because the story is really quite inventive. I quite fallen in love with all the characters.
But this isn't the first time you brought characters to a book, though, is it? I mean, I know the majority of your work in book form has been poetry, but for actual characters, they say it's not the first time. And do you ever fancy doing a series, maybe, of around different characters?
In my first novel, The Hurricane, that would make a great movie. I'm still hoping somebody's going to pick that up. But this would make either a really good movie, or because it's set in 10 lessons of psychiatry, it could make a really good 10-part TV series.
Okay, so we're talking full TV series here, and with your name on it, that would be fantastic. I know who want to do the soundtrack as well. I think you'd be brilliant at that too.
Got to do it. It's got to be done.
So I think it's just another expressive way. 'Cause I mean, you're creative. I mean, in your music over the years, we've loved the different places you've gone to, and with your novel, is it almost like you're sitting down at a piano, or are you a full orchestra on this? Do you think?
This one is a full orchestra.
Hmm.
This is life. This has enabled me to explore. Like I said, I'm one of those people. If you sit with me at dinner and we're talking, I will dig. I will dig in. And I will want you to do the same. My thing is finding out how people tick. And I'm a very good people reader. This has allowed me to explore my natural psychological knowledge. Plus, I had to do a lot of research, which I did. If I'm going to quote Freud and other people, you got to, go on the internet and look and see what they thought. And sure, I've done all that. Of course, any writer has to do that if you're going into a subject like this. So, what I didn't know intellectually, I would look up and read it and learn it,
Hmm.
read it, learn it, and then put it through me, and have it come out through the characters. But the quirks and the foibles and the good parts and bad parts of all these people, these are all me. I didn't get this from anybody but my own little brain. And I did kind of model, you do if you're writing characters, you will, as you're creating a character, you can almost imagine them in your mind, probably somebody in a way, and that's how they come to life. So I used certain role models, not completely, but kind of.
Hmm. And personality traits you've seen, but into different people and into different interactions, which is where the book has completely come from your own sort of musings, your take on it. Because I mean, it is contemplating life and death and all those things that go on in between, and how birth and death color our judgments of every day.
Every single day. And there's a great line I read. I think I saw it on a toilet wall. I've used it before in one of my books. It was at a toilet wall in a gas station. How much life is that? Somebody put it on the wall as a framed picture. And I thought, here I am at a gas station and God knows where. And there's this sign. And it said, please don't let me get to the end of my life and find out I haven't lived.
Hmm.
That stuck with me.
I don't think you could ever be accused of that.
No, I guess I'm that kind of person. I guess I can be draining for some, but I have been blessed with artistic ability and too much energy for my own good.
I'd say role model, but I don't think I think we love the energy. I think this is what we need, and I think
Yeah.
through the story you're telling here and the creativity of the characters, bringing them together, bringing a central figure like the professor in there as well to sort of balance out and not quite judge, but also to help understanding for the students.
Yes. Yeah, you needed a person in charge. And like it says on the cover, who teaches who indeed teaches who, because the professor learns a lot. He learns a lot. And I have quite a bit of empathy for the professor. I think a very, very sad man, very lonely man,
Well,
but smart.
yeah. Well, so when this is turned into that 10-part series and the music's there, how do you envisage? I mean, have each of the characters kind of got their own theme in your head?
The musical themes?
Yeah, is there a sound which sums them up?
Yeah, sure. God, I could write a song about each one of them. Oh, easy, easy.
Maybe,
Oh
maybe
my
that. So I'd like to see a novel with an accompanying soundtrack for those for when before it's turned into TV. That would
Well,
be awesome.
you just turned me on now. Wow. To write a theme for each character. How fantastic.
Right, we'll
Wow.
look forward to that. Obviously, a tour we need to watch out for.
Next year, the dates are to be announced May 27th, so I can't say them yet. May 27th. I'm doing 10 shows in the UK. My biggest tour here for a long time.
Mhm.
The Palladium was one of them. Yeah, it's my fourth time there. I'm working on my new album, which I start recording on the 9th in my home studio. Got 14 songs ready for that. I know it's crazy. I know you're going, oh my God, I'm tired looking at you. And I've just handed to the publisher my third poetry book, which
So,
will be number 8. And that's one thing I can never stop. I am lyrically minded anyway, but I've been writing poetry since a little girl,
mhm.
and it's my therapy. If you anger me, I get rid of it by turning it into a poem, which exercises it and makes you able to analyze the words and learn from it. You know,
Do you send poems to people under those circumstances?
I do.
I'll
I
be
do.
I'll be checking my email
I,
inbox
I,
just in case.
I let people know if somebody's made me that mad and I write a poem, I said, "Here you go. Here's what I just wrote about what just happened. How do you like it?"
I
Take
love
that.
that. But
I punch. I punch verbally. Okay. Oh,
but
I
for you,
like that. I'm writing that down. I
write that
punch.
down. Right, okay, that's all good. And the idea about the songs for each of your characters as well.
Yes.
We want that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
yeah.
I punch verbally. Oh, that would be Lily's. That would be Lily's song.
Okay, right. We'll look forward to that and a tie in with the book as well. That'd be good. It's something to follow up in a few months' time. You haven't got if you've got time to do that as well. That's the problem, isn't it? Because you are so busy, as you said. So that's something that you've got to work on. So the book is out there now. Where do we get hold of all of this?
Well, you can buy the book wherever you buy books. It's out there now. Um, and I'm getting such great responses. God, I'm so pleased that people are liking the book. They're buying into the characters. You know, I had I know we probably have to go in a second. I had a letter from a guy who I was interviewing on May the 1st. I had a letter a couple weeks ago,
Hmm.
and he said, I am interviewing you, yes, but I want you to know I've read your book. And I didn't see it coming. He said, you knocked me for 6. He said, where did you get your deep psychological knowledge from? And you put it in such a wonderfully compelling fictional setting. This book should be required reading for all human beings and psychology students. I went, what? Well, if you can't get a better email than that, can you?
Absolutely, that is spot on. I think the same goes for your music and listening as well, because you've always reflected life through all the different genres you've worked in, and I think again that brings it all to almost full circle to mean the book was inevitable, as will more from you be.
Yeah, you're right what you just said. It was inevitable because of everything I've done. And I am that way inclined. I don't do I do fiction, which I've done, but it comes from my life.
Mhm.
I'm a very sensitive girl. I hate to say it, but I am. I'm very sensitive.
But you sometimes try to hide that,
I know. It
and your
doesn't
poet.
work.
I absolutely love it, Susie. What's the web address and everything for all of your work?
www.suziquatro.com.
Simple as that. That works. Go along there, check out everything. Links to all the socials, links to buy in the book, and of course, go and grab that wherever you want to. It'd be great if you're when you're on tour. I must come and see you and see
Oh,
how
you
it
do. You must. You must. Okay.
and see how the experience is the current version of Suzi Quatro, because you never know what you're going to
Absolutely.
get. So yeah, lovely to speak to
Absolutely.
you. Thank you as ever. I look forward to speaking to you
Thank
again
you
soon.
very much. Thanks. Bye.
One Second in Time is the latest release from Benham and McNerney. To tell us more, I'm joined now by the Steves themselves. Hello, both.
Hello.
Hello there. I'm referred to normally as Bo.
Bo, I can call you
Bo,
Bo. That's
Bo.
fine. So that's
And Mark,
Stephen Bo. Is that going to
It's
make it
less
simpler?
confusing.
that's
It's
right.
less confusing.
Well, first of all, Bo, I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to have a natter with Steve.
Okay.
We'll take it in turns. So, Steve, tell us about how this wonderful world of Benham and McNerney came together.
We've been sort of bumping the idea around for over the years, and occasionally we'd get together for a day and start something, and then we wouldn't see each other for 6 months, and there was no continuity. So when we lost our guitarist and our drummer, we thought, well, we better get our fingers out, and if we're going to do something, do it. But we'd need to do it full on, not just a day here and a day there. So we literally just threw ourselves into it, all brand new stuff, no old songs hanging around in the cupboard. We made it kind of a thing that had to be new and just for this. And that was it, basically. We thought, well, why not? We haven't done anything in 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, Bo, the fact that the Pleasers were so long ago seems like something of a surprise in itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's funny because we're constantly putting stuff up online now and again. So we're kind of living with it all the time, really, the Pleasers, because it was an achievement that we all had that was great for us, and we had a good following as well. And it's funny because when we did a gig out in Japan back in, I think it was 2010, Steve, wasn't it? We were surprised at the reaction that we got from a kind of a fan base that we didn't know existed in Japan. They all came up to the 3 gigs that we did out there with badges, records, and pictures for us to sign. It was incredible. So, it's never really gone away, but it's because we've been doing other things. But, it's a great legacy, I think, for us.
It is, and when it comes to new music as well, as the principal songwriters back in the day, Steve, I mean, this is something that you two are used to, penning a good song or two together, aren't you?
Well, yeah. We've been doing it for a long time, but it's always a challenge, no matter who you are, how long you've been doing it. You sit down and there's no formula for writing a good song. You just hope one will come, There's more crap than there is gold, It's just the nature of the thing.
But being a prolific songwriter is what you need to be, so you can cherry pick your favourites out of that.
We're always doing that, yeah.
But what's been the standout moment, doing this, getting back together? Is it the friendship and camaraderie first of all, or is it just the pleasure of the music?
No.
I think it's the fact we didn't kill each other. Really, we came out both unscathed. No, we had some brilliant moments, and we had our sparks fly, but because there was no third party involved, the two of us could just sort it out the way we always have, and I always win, and Bo's just getting used to that.
It's taken him nearly 50 years, but he's getting used to that.
It's funny, because as you grow older, you do mellow, but you stay the same. It's not much really does change in your personality. Of course, the character gets older, but the personality remains the same. So we know how each of us work, and how each of us, what we like, what we don't like. But still, I think we get set in our ways, of course, as we get older. Steve certainly knows that one. I mean, he's more set in his ways than I am. I'm very changeable, but it works. It works.
But I think you started out as upstarts, and I don't think that's stopped, has it? You still want to shake things up when it comes to your music.
Yeah, you do. I mean, we don't ever overthink it. I don't think we ever did. Maybe that was our failing. If we'd thought about it a bit more, we'd have written a hit. We never thought like that. We just thought,
well, what will work in the live set, and what will get people going, and what we thought was a good song. We never thought it. I wish we had. I wish we had sat down and I mean, we were offered songs by Nick Lowe, and we were offered Airport. Do you remember that song the Motors had? We were offered that, but we went, we're not singing about an airport. That's not us, you know. So maybe it's a failing, and you know, we've come to. I've always believed if I'd rather us being where we are now with our legacy than having had a one hit and be called a one hit wonder, you know, because we've kind of got a cult status now, which we wouldn't have had we had number one with Airport.
But I think, yeah, you got an honesty in your music based on that. But I think that's it's the honesty, integrity, and the sound, which is you know, becoming a cult band is probably harder than you know some of the one hit wonders that we had back in the day, because the '70s were rife with people who came along, they found a song, did something with it, and then vanished. You know, I mean, you've made a career out of being you.
Yes, that's very true. Actually, financially, it's not the most wise thing to do, but you can't plan to be a cult unless you instigate your own plane crash or something. You know, it's just stuck around. I think people they're hungry for music from that era that they haven't heard. You know, and people are discovering it all the time. I mean, on eBay, our records are still, you know, there's loads of them for sale on there.
That's because you keep sending them out there trying to make a bit of cash.
Yeah, I know. And Bo keeps buying them.
He'll do him a signed copy. You'll love that. But I mean, when it comes to that, you know, the jangly guitars, the lively pop feel, well, you know, it's one of 100 different sounds that you could create, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. But that was the one that, you know, always was important to me. Just the basic bass, drums, guitar, keyboard, and harmonies, and good songs, good melodies, because that's what I grew up listening to. You know.
Bo, what's your feel on this? I mean, how does it work for you now? I mean, obviously, you both love each other dearly. I can tell that, but equally, it must be still good fun having an argument about a song.
Oh yeah, we do have arguments about, you know, how an arrangement might go, or what song should be included in the album. We certainly did that. I had a couple of great songs that Steve just didn't like. You know, he called them ploddy. So I'm going to bring out an album one day called Ploddy. Just to prove that they can be successful. Hopefully, I don't know about that. But anyway, we do tussle with each other, but hey, you know, I mean, I think Steve's right. He normally does get his own way, and I normally give in. He's normally right, you know. That's the problem.
I think it takes a lot to recognise that as well, then, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, these days as well, with the way the music industry's changed somewhat, you know, getting signed, actually getting things produced on vinyl back or even cassette back in 1977. Yeah, you have the pedigree of producing the music at Abbey Road, where you've returned to now, but it's still a very different world whereby you can choose the fact that you want to release music rather than relying on showing off to somebody else.
We were signed to a record company, and you do what they want, you know, and when they want to. It's kind of nice in some ways because it makes life so much easier for the artist to get on with making music. But you know, for us, I mean, now we've got to do all this, you know, like arrange interviews, marketing, and all that. It's not something that comes easy for me. You know, we do our best, but working stuff online is a bit of a minefield, you know, as to where the best place is to put a new single and how the best to push it. You know, there's so many options.
And Steve, with all of this, I mean, are you king of Instagram now? Are you constantly on there posting little clips of your life?
I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TokTik. I'm not on anything. I'm on Facebook, and that's about it. No, I don't go in. I haven't got time for that stuff, really.
I think as well, it's it's about the personality of the band, and if you did, I'd kind of feel you sold out completely, to be fair, and I don't want you to do that.
No, exactly. I've got no interest in it, Jason, to be honest. It's like frivolous. I don't want people to see what I'm having for dinner, and I don't want them to know I'm sitting in the doctor's office. I've been here for an hour and I still haven't been seen. You know, I just find it pathetic now.
Mm-hmm. It's not very rock and roll either, is it?
No, and so many people do it, and I think we're in an age now where, you know, I walk past my local station, everyone files out of the station looking down at their phones, you know. Everyone on the train is on their phones. I never look at my phone when I'm out, because I'm out, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's reality taking place around you. Okay, then, who's going to be in charge of marketing this at me now? Where do we find the music? How do people get to enjoy it?
It's on all platforms. I mean, we've put it up on through Disco. Is it Disco Kid or Kid whatever?
Only the single though. Only the single.
Yeah, only the singles up there. Yeah. So you can get it on Apple Music, Spotify, and a few others. So it's doing the rounds, but you know, we've also pressed up some CDs as well to hand out. I don't know if you were given one of those, Jason, were you?
I've got a download link. I'm happy with my download link. That works well.
No one's got a CD player anymore. But there's something about having, I mean, it's been said 100 times, but there's something about having the physical product. I mean, I've recently bought a deck, and to dig out all the old albums, it's such a different vibe when you pick an album out and you read the sleeve and you pull the record out and you put the needle. It's a different vibe to all this just dipping in, dipping out. It's got its advantages and it's got its disadvantages for me. But I'm old school like that. So.
But does this mean though, when we get the album, we'll actually be able to get it on 12-inch vinyl?
Well, that would be nice. That's the aim. But again, it's finance. We have to see how it goes, you know, because we're self-financing all this ourselves.
Well, we don't need to get Bo on Kickstarter or something, because he seems to be the most tech savvy out of the two of you, and see if you can get some funding together.
I don't like the idea of that. It's like cap in hand, you know. I don't like that. I mean, it's got its merit. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather keep the persona of we're okay. We don't need your money, you know. I mean, the main thing we said, well, I said at the beginning of this was, I don't care about the money. I don't care. I just want people to hear this, because it may be the last time we do something. So it's just important. It's a legacy for us. We were going to call it The Pleasers. I think Bo was more in favour of that. But I felt uncomfortable with it because it's not The Pleasers, you know, because it's only the two of us. So we ended up calling it Benham and McNerney, because that's what it is, you know.
It is, and it sounds amazing. We will prove that now by bringing you 1 second in time. The video is out there as well. You can find that on YouTube. Give that a bit of a search, and you can enjoy the music. For now, I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to hope to hear from you when we get the whole album out there. We can talk a bit about that, and fingers crossed we'll get real vinyl copies and everything. For now, Benham, McNerney, basically Steve and Bo, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I'll see you down the Trumpet in Bilston sometime.
That would be fantastic.
Just for a moment, you came back to me, and I could hear your voice so vividly. Just for a moment, everything was okay. The weight on my shoulders slipped away. 1 second in time, the world stood still and things were fine. For 1 second in time, just for a moment, I was Just for a moment, you came back to me, and I could hear your voice so vividly. Just for a moment, everything was okay. The weight on my shoulders slipped away. Please don't let me slip slide again. I don't want to fall. Holding on tight to the strings of my kite. One second in time. One second in time. One second in time. One second in time. The world stood still and things were fine. One second in time. One second in time. One second in time.
On the 7th and 8th of August, there's a Gothic experience coming up, a double bill of two amazing shows by amazing writers. To tell us more, I'm joined now by two amazing people, Mark Webster and James Nicholas. How you doing?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jason. Yeah.
Oh, good to have you along. And first up, we've got two shows. So we've got The Body Snatcher, Robert Louis Stevenson, and Charles Dickens' The Hanged Man's Bride. So this is going to be chilling throughout, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's a Gothic double bill. Two very famous writers, Charles Dickens, Robert Louis Stevenson, and two tales that hopefully will make the audience think a little bit, but chill them to the bone as well. We actually performed The Hangman's Bride last year. It was very successful, so we're bringing it back for a second year, and we're doing it this year with The Body Snatcher as well.
Yeah, so that's obviously two relatively short plays, I'm going to guess then.
Yeah, that's right. They both work out around 45 minutes each.
And of course, though, this is a theatre where you feel very close to all of the action on stage. And I suspect that knowing the way in which this space is often used, there'll be a few twists and turns within that area, which surprise people even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Blue Orange Theatre, it's a lovely intimate venue, as you say, Jason, and I think it really lends itself to this kind of work, so the audience really feel part of the action. These shows are both one-man shows, so it's a lot of storytelling, use sound, we use a lot of lighting effects as well to tell the story, but the key thing is that the audience really feel part of these two very intimate chilling Gothic ghost stories.
But they're not quite monologues, are they? There's a bit more to it than that.
No, that's right. They're not monologues. No, they're performed by one actor, but the actor tells the whole story. So I'll be performing in both shows, and I'll be playing probably around 8 characters in each one. So it really is storytelling, but coming in and out of character, which I think lends itself really well to these types of story.
That's, I think, goes back to a very much a tradition of the time when the likes of Dickens was going around reading his books. I mean, I'm sure he wasn't reading them up. He pretty much went with the flow, and I may have had a book for a prop, but that was as far as he ever went with it. But he would do that as well. He would bring to life each of the characters. And I think when it's the author doing it, you know you've got good source material for of how the character should behave. And how are you approaching each of these 8 in each of these shows?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, actually, Charles Dickens does appear himself in The Hangman's Bride. So when I was researching and adapting The Hangman's Bride, I was learning quite a lot about Dickens himself and his real life inspiration for writing The Hangman's Bride. So he visited a supposedly haunted inn up in Lancaster, where recently there a guy called Edmund Hardman had been hanged for the murder of his wife, and Dickens claims to have been visited by his the ghost of Hardman while he was staying in Lancaster, which was probably his inspiration for writing the story. So I've combined some of that into the actual story and some of Dickens' real life as well, because at the time Dickens was having marital difficulties. We suspect he was having an affair with a young actress. So we're combining all those things, plus the story of The Hangman's Bride, which fits together really well. But in terms of playing the characters, yeah, it's all about physicality. It's about using different voices. And I think in terms of acting, one of the key things is you're reacting against yourself. So you're playing one character, then the next character has to react against the character that's come before. So it's quite challenged as an actor, but it's also quite liberating as well, playing all these different characters, using different physicality, different accents, different voices. I loved it last year in The Hangman's Bride, so I'm really looking forward to bringing that one back, and also The Body Snatcher as well.
And Mark, when you're seeing something like this happening as well, and it's someone you know, I mean, that's even more peculiar, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a style that we've worked with for a long time at the theatre. We specialise really in adapting classic pieces for the stage. So last year, for example, we did I think 5 pieces, including Hangman's Bride, Hound of Baskervilles, Whistle and I'll Come to You. So it's a style we do a lot, and we do the quick multi-character work, in and out of different characters very rapidly in order to tell story, with mixing it in with narration as well.
So it'll come to life on stage, but it doesn't mean there's going to be no set at all, does it?
No, indeed. Well, Simon, who does all our sets and costume work, he's very keen set dresser, so he will be dressing it. And we'll all have to wait and see what ends up on the back of the stage.
But it's a little while to wait, but it is time to get your tickets now. So how do we do that?
So it's all at the blueorangetheatre.co.uk website. In fact, the plays are selling so well, we're actually putting a third date on, because we put them on originally because we'd taken them to Edinburgh as well. So we sort of combine the two. But yeah, the Birmingham's selling so well that there'll also be the Wednesday, which will be the 6th, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep, it's the 6th. Yeah, it's all through the website.
So check all those details out, blueorangetheatre.co.uk. So a wonderful venue, great team down there, and always producing something a little bit different. And maybe it'd be a little bit off the beaten track, but actually, once you found it, you keep going back. That's how it works. It's a wonderful place.
Indeed, and the area is very fortunately it's being developed very quickly. So it's a rapidly improving a quarter of Birmingham.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's fantastic to get down there. I will endeavour to get along for some of these shows. Meanwhile, Mark Webster and James Nicholas, thank you both for joining us.
Thanks,
Thank you
Jason.
very much.
Now, Malissa Whitehouse rises again with Over a Lifetime, a power ballad of resilience and redemption. And she joins me now to tell us about her music. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
All good here. And music is a massively important part of your life and always has been, hasn't it?
It certainly has, yeah, since I was about kind of 15, 16. It's always been a very prevalent part of everyday life for me, songwriting, creating, performing.
And I think that probably helped you through the rather difficult times after you had an accident back in 2020.
Oh gosh, yeah, I had a horse riding accident and I broke my back, as you do, and a 6-month recovery in bed. But as awful as it was the making of everything. It gave me a chance to retune life, I think, and kind of go back to my catalogue of works over the years and open many new doors with my publishing and different creative processes that I was going through with my work. So, yeah, it wasn't great, but then good things have come from it now. So, all good.
Had you taken a bit of a hiatus then? Because I mean, back when you were 16, you were Capital Radio Songwriter of the Year.
Yeah, to be honest, it's been such a journey for me. I was at Capital Radio as well after that, so I had my award that I got with Capital Radio then, and came second out of 10,000 people. So that was kind of so close, but not number one. That gave me ITV, a performance on ITV. I then got an opportunity to go on The Word, and then I worked at MTV, Capital Radio, to kind of sustain things as an independent artist, because obviously it's hard getting recording deals and living off the budget that you get as an independent artist. So I went behind the scenes, worked at Capital Radio, then I set up my own production company. And that journey basically took me through so many twists and turns. One minute I was writing for people, producing. Then I went back into the other side of things, of kind of working behind the scenes, management. Then I had my son, and then I kind of went full circle and then got back to having the studio and working with Tony Matthew from Soul to Soul, and didn't look back from there really. We kind of wrote for lots of people and got the opportunity to write for Kalon Ray, which was great, through my publisher Peer Music. And then everything blossomed again really. But as things were flying along, I had the accident. And then that gave me some self-reflection to actually release my own music again instead of just writing for other people. So that was the transition, to be honest. So it wasn't really a stop. It was a bit stop-start because I had my son, but there was always music involved
You're
somewhere
basically a
in
queen
that
of
journey.
creativity, really, aren't you?
I am. I like that title. I'm going to claim that. Yeah, creativity. Yeah, I love to write. I've been writing for television. I've got a TV show in development at the moment that we're going to start filming in September. So there's quite a few different sides to me, but as long as I'm doing something creative, I'm in my happy space.
Now, I mean, you've been offered to, do things like writing for The Voice as well, this sort of thing. And it's a writing which I think you pour your heart and soul into, but unless you get to sing it yourself, you don't necessarily always get to tell that song story.
Absolutely. This is why actually you've really hit on something here, because the song that I just released, Over a Lifetime, was something that I was going to give to potentially another artist. And I spoke to my management team and I just said, I would love to have this opportunity to do this song myself. I've been on a heck of a journey the last couple of years. It meant a lot to me, and it's a different area. I've really wanted to kind of look into the film area more, that kind of sync area with music. It's hard to get the kind of the breaks in the industry with so many. I think it's like 40,000 artists release a week on the independent channels through Spotify. So to get these placements, and just even you talking to me today, it's hard to get those breaks. So to have those opportunities to release your own music and know that you can relate to it as well is a powerful thing. So yeah, it's been a wonderful kind of opportunity for me to have this moment, to be honest.
And which part of your world do you enjoy most? I mean, is it the creative side of things where you're getting to help others? I assume that that must be a massive, confidence boost, seeing others do, work on things that you've helped set
Absolutely.
up. But is it,
Yeah.
maybe, hearing one of your songs randomly on the radio that somebody else has performed, or is it that special moment when it is your own voice that is bringing those words to life?
Oh, I love helping other people. There's a new artist at the moment that has been recording in the studio the last few weeks, some of my tracks. And just to see the lyrics come off paper and then hear someone's vocals, that means everything to me. And nurturing, I think when I first started my journey, I didn't really know many people in the industry. So it was very hard to break. So it took that time to get those kind of openings. And it's getting harder. The industry has changed so much over time. But for me and the radio show that I do, Just a London Girl, I have an independent artist section. So I'm very keen about kind of giving those platforms that I didn't really have when I was younger. Or they were there, but you had to really fight for them. And it's even harder now with so many people trying to like release independent music.
It's the thing, though, isn't it? You're not reliant on a label, but you're now trying to get your head above everybody else so you can be seen and heard. I think that's
Absolutely.
part of the problem. There was a sweet spot in the middle where it was great for people in the 90s
Yeah,
into the noughties, and as this sort of thing
absolutely.
developed. But now there is a
Yeah.
sea of people, aren't there?
It is, and I think you've got to be really creative and think out of the bubble. I was signed with Peer Music. Nigel Alderton was a wonderful kind of support there, and obviously he works very high up, chairman from kind of PRS, etc. And he said to me one day, he said, "You've got great songs, but it's not just about a great song, it's about having a vehicle for that song." That really resonated, how you can get your music heard in different forms, if it be an advert, if it be a TV show, hence how my TV show came about. I literally spent 2 to 3 years developing a script and writing the soundtrack that was my music, to give my music a platform, because it was just so hard to kind of find areas to get the music just released and to sustain good finances, because you don't really get major deals like you used to in the 80s and 90s. So it's literally selling merchandise, or if you basically, you're doing big shows and selling the tickets, you need to be out there live to be making, reasonable money. But as an artist, you're the last person to be paid out of that management team, out of the crew, out of everything else. And to sustain that and have longevity, you're only as strong as your team. So yeah, it is like trying to become an astronaut, really, when you think about it. But if you can navigate through it and enjoy the process, there's some amazing aspects of it still. So it's not doom and gloom. It's great. But anyone out there wanting to do it, just be tenacious and think of alternative routes that you can bring things to market and shine. That's the most important thing, to shine.
Absolutely. And I think it's the fact you're having to monetize something that you love. It almost feels wrong, but it is the only right way to do it.
But it is, because if you don't do that, if you don't monetize it, then you have no sustainability to actually have the longevity of going forward with it, because you do need to survive. Like any job, you need revenue. But unfortunately, with music, I think that's only one of the jobs in the world that you can work so hard for months and years for nothing. But you do it for the love, in the hope that you're going to get that break. And if you do, then wonderful things are to come.
Absolutely. And it is one of those worlds where it can go stratospheric.
Yeah, and I think the power of social media. I went to a networking event the other evening, all these people coming up to me, and I'm thinking, I don't think I know you, but it's like, "Oh, we saw your post earlier on for your single," and you think, wow, the power of social media. And you don't realize sometimes how many people actually get to see that, even though you see a number count. It's that association that people do feel they know you as well, because they're following your story.
Yeah, and it's the story of your life, the story of your music, telling that tale, bringing to life words which have meaning to you but are going to touch the hearts of others, and that's what you're doing with Over a Lifetime, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I must admit, I've written loads of songs in my lifetime, excuse the pun, but I think this one has resonated with quite a few people. It's been a heck of a journey the last couple of years, and putting pen to paper, and it is a heartfelt track. But having the privilege of working with John Brooks, musical composer, on this track has just been amazing, because we didn't really do it for radio, kind of the pop radio edit. We kind of were looking for that TV film score big track, but obviously there's a commercial element to it, like the Titanic tracks that have been out there, Celine Dion, some of the big things that Adele's done. And we thought we'd have fun with this and kind of really get all the strings, get all the composition as best as we can to make it shine. And I hope that the listener will think that we've done that justice.
But we all love a power ballad. It's compulsory.
Yeah.
Let's fall in love with this track now. But before we do, where can we go to find out not only about the current releases, future releases, all of your back catalogue, where people can hear you and others performing your music, but also, most importantly, get your hands on this and make sure that we're enjoying it the way we should?
Absolutely. It's on all kind of Spotify, all platforms. So at Malissa Whitehouse, and that's Melissa, Malissa. And you can also go to X. I'm on there as Malissa Whitehouse. Instagram, Melissa_Whitehouse. And also on Facebook, just as Malissa Whitehouse. So there's no excuse. You can find me.
Malissa Whitehouse is what you're looking for. You're going to absolutely love it. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for having a chat. We're now going to enjoy your heartfelt song, Over a Lifetime.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, and to your wonderful listeners. Thank you.
We've all done something in life that was crazy. You took a moment and broke a heart. No excuses, no words, I'm sorry. Can't make amends, the world just fell apart. this by my side. Every memory comes to haunt me, like your soul calls me in the dead of night. I can't do this any better. I made up my mind. We can't keep fighting all the time. Days will go, emotions pass, the moment shatter like broken glass. Over a lifetime, I made up my mind. We can keep fighting all the time. Days will go, emotions pass, the moment shatter like broken glass. Over a lifetime. Over a lifetime. You were the love of my lifetime.
Now, Rumpelstiltskin may be a name you're scared to utter. However, it's been on the lips of director Andy Edwards for a little while now. With a film out there in the world of digital entertainment, he's here to tell me all about what's going on. How you doing? You good?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, an amazing piece of fantasy work. Tell us how this one came about.
Yeah, I was looking around for ideas for a new film, and fairy tale horror is quite big at the moment. There's been a few others that have come out, but I was trying to think of a character that hadn't been done for a long time, and also something that was kind of inherently scary already. So rather than taking something cute like a Disney thing and making it evil, it was about trying to find something that was already quite dark. And Rumpelstiltskin, yeah, he's already a bit of a weird little goblin guy who wants to eat children, so it wasn't too hard to turn him into a horror character. And yeah, and he hadn't been done for a long time. The last Rumpelstiltskin film, I think, with him as a standalone character, was done in the 90s, and by the guys who made the Leprechaun films. And he comes to present day LA, and he like rides a motorbike and everything. So I was like, okay, we'll steer clear of that. Let's keep it historical, keep it period, keep it fairy tale, keep it medieval.
Yeah, and the world of fantasy lends itself well to the sort of technology we have today that can help enhance a film. But all that aside, this is a proper sort of comedy as well in its own way, with some amazing British style humor in it.
Yeah, I mean, whilst it is, it's a folk horror story, but it's set in this medieval fantasy world. So, we were kind of looking, visually at things like the Robert Eggers films, like The Witch, for example. But obviously, tonally, when you're in this world, we looked at Game of Thrones, but also, yeah, Monty Python, Blackadder, those kind of bawdy British kind of looks at the past with kind of larger than life characters. So yeah, those were sort of big influences on the script.
And in true folklore and fairy tale style, greed is the order of the day that can often be somebody's downfall.
Well, yes, I mean, there's always a little moral at the heart of every fairy tale, and it's generally, know your place. Don't try and, up your stakes by doing a magical deal with any imps or devils or witches or fairies, because it's going to end badly.
And I think, I mean, that's good. One of the draws to it is going to sort of feel like something you you know, because we know folklore and fairy tales. But the take you've got on this, actually, it is something so fresh. It is going to surprise people at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, when you're doing a story that everybody either knows or kind of remembers vaguely from their childhood, you've got the issue of, on the plus side, it's a story that stood the test of time. You know that if you just tell that story, you kind of can't mess it up in a way. But on the other hand, it is something that people will know. So it is, how can we kind of put extra flesh on the bones to make it interesting? Because the original Brothers Grimm story is like, it's only a couple of pages long, and it tells you all the characters, they do this, they do this, but it doesn't really tell you why they do any of it. So the challenge adapting it was to come up with motives for all of the characters. Why do they behave like this? And try and flesh them out, make them real people doing the crazy stuff. Because in the story, it just goes, the miller says she can spin straw, and the king goes, do it. You're like, okay, why would they do any of these things? So it's, yeah, just kind of trying to put some flesh on the bones and make the characters feel real and relevant.
And you've got a character in there which I don't recall in the original tale. I mean, the devil getting involved as well. I suppose he's always there in the background whenever anything evil's happening.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a sort of a devil, a dark lord of the forest character that was put in there, and the reason he's in there is because in the original story, when Rumpelstiltskin is foiled, there's different versions, but he just kills himself. Like, in one version, he's so angry he rips himself in two. And in another, he's so angry he stamps his foot and opens a portal to hell and falls through it. And which, is kind of a fun end to a little fairy story, but we were trying to make him a real character, and have, motives and stuff. So it's like, okay, well, him just killing himself once his name is discovered seems strange. So let's give him a boss. Everybody somewhere has a boss somewhere. Let's give him something, to be afraid of himself, rather than just having his name found out. Let's give him something that has power over him, and that can explain why he meets his demise.
So, I mean, it's more motivation, and I think I love that. The fact that sometimes with horror stories, we wonder why these things happen. Here, you've got a tale we sort of semi know that then gets scary. And you premiered in Glasgow at Fright Fest, and of course that was a great response there too.
Yeah, I mean, Glasgow Fright Fest is a great festival. I went there last year with a film that I produced, and I've been to Fright Fest in London as well with a couple of films. And that's always the kind of audience that primarily you have in your head if you're making a horror film. These are people who live and breathe horror movies. So you kind of have in your head, how are these people going to react to it? So it's really good to kind of have your first screening in front of these people, because then you can see all the bits that work and all the bits that don't. They're not frightened to tell you if they didn't like something. But equally, if you can get some of them on side. These are people who not only love horror movies, but it's a very knowledgeable crowd about movies as well, about how they're made, how they're put together. So
yeah, and I think casting has been key here too, because you've got another stellar lineup, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean the casting, this is a low budget film, but casting is, it's not free, but it is something that if you work on it and go through your audition process, you can get some really good actors in low budget British films. There's so much talent out here, so just because you haven't got a lot of money doesn't mean that you can't get good actors for your film. You can't just use your mates. You have to do auditions and rehearsals, and then you can get some great performances.
It's out there now via Miracle Media. It's digital is the way to see this. So Rumpelstiltskin will be entering people's homes, sometimes whether they like it or not.
Yes, he pops up. Not maybe when you want him, but maybe when you need him. That's when he turns up.
Well, we all need a bit of this film in our lives, I think. Something to stick us on the edge of our seats. Look at the amazing sort of dark humor, the way which this has been built to bring a fairy tale to life in the most horrific of ways. How do we find it? Where do we go to?
It's on all the platforms, major platforms on demand. So that's Amazon Prime, Sky, Google Play, and Apple TV as well. So yeah, just search Rumpelstiltskin, Rumpelstiltskin 2025, Rumpelstiltskin 1996 if you want to watch him on a motorbike. That's the other older version, but it's a 2025 version. That's ours. Proper medieval horror. We've got knights, we've got horses, we've got prosthetics, we've got children, we've got animals, we've got all the things you're not meant to use in a low budget film.
Yeah, everything you could want and more. It's in this movie, and it brings to life what is a terrifying tale in this case. Well, have a great time with it. Enjoy the rest of its current release and the brilliant work and promotion that's going to be happening around such a great British film to see. Andy Edwards, director of Rumpelstiltskin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's your lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 830 next week. I hope to have you along. See you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar.